Thank you very much. I'm here today to speak on H.R. 3308, which requires the federal government to disclose that advertisements and information on government programs and services are paid for by the taxpayer. Advertisements provide information, but in many instances they're designed to induce people to buy or use a product or service. While we can debate whether individual federal advertising campaigns are overly promotional, surely we can agree that the public should know that they themselves are sponsoring a government marketing piece. Americans deserve to know how their tax dollars are being spent. And H.R. 3308 adds needed transparency to the business of government by requiring disclosures when taxpayer dollars are spent on advertising and educational materials. This bill is designed to help people know what's going on. It's not intended to be a burden on local broadcasters, their advertisers, or any of the work that they do in local communities. As a former broadcaster, I understand the important role that advertising plays. But it's also important that the people know what's an advertisement being paid for with government money and what's a public service announcement and what's being paid for by private individuals. This bill adds a disclaimer to ads and printed material very similar to what many or all of us in this chamber are familiar with on our advertising rules for campaigns, where you have this was paid for by so-and-so. This would just require government agencies who purchase advertising or produce written material to add a disclaimer saying something to the effect of produced and aired at taxpayer expense. And I'll reserve the balance of my time at this point, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from Texas reserves his time. The gentleman from Virginia from Texas is recognized.
Thank you very much. And without getting into the pros and cons of the various investigations that this body does, I will say that it is our constitutional obligation to provide oversight to the various federal agencies, and one of the ways we do that is through the investigation that our committee does bring up. I do want to say we did visit with Representative Duckworth, and we do feel like her concerns have been addressed. We could not agree on specific language with Ms. Duckworth, but we were able, we did come up with these provisions that the minority requested at the markup that allowed the OMB to come up with the implementing regulations. It also includes a provision suggested by the minority to make clear that communications funded entirely by user fee or by sources other than that that do not include federal funds may indicate that how it's funded through the United States government. But this is a bill all designed to provide transparency, let taxpayers see the fruits of the spending of taxpayer dollars on advertisements, and to make a judgment about that on their own, and know what's going on, know how their money is being spent. And as my colleague from Missouri pointed out, sunshine is the best disinfectant. It's what we're about in the Government Oversight and Reform Committee. It's what this bill does. Again, designed as a regulation on government agencies, not as an attempt to go after broadcasters, print shops, or anything like that. This is just to get the government agencies to tell the taxpayers what they bought with the disclaimer on there. Common sense legislation. I urge all my colleagues to stand behind it. It's something that I think will be a huge step forward towards transparency, and I look forward to this bill's passage and yield back the remainder of my time.